And welcome back to part 3 of this Scriptcase training. Today we are creating a property management platform, and so far we have already created some applications here. We have the properties applications, so I'll just run through these. So we have created the properties application. Well, we have here the grid list where we can then view our properties. We have created here an extra view where we can view the property details, as well as then the extra images that come with the property. We have then also created the locations, form and grid. So each of these, we've also created the form application. And for the reservations, or the rentals, I've called it here the grid. And we've styled all of these. We've created the relevant forms and linked everything together. We have just finished creating the bookings grid and the relevant form, which is the grid, where we have a search on the left. We can view here the booking information, which opens up in a modal window, and we can see all the information regarding the bookings we have for our property management system. Now, we do still have a great deal to do. For instance, in the properties applications, we still need to link the two applications. Here, for instance, we have the bookings. We've linked these. We can add bookings if we wanted to, we should add that also. And here within the properties grid, we don't yet have the add new option here either, so we will add this, and then we will be able to add new properties, as well as edit the relevant information for those properties. We still also need to create the client view, and we should also be adding a security to this and the menu to tie everything together so that we have our property management system ready to use. Okay, so we're going to start off with creating the client view. So if I start creating a new application, and create now a grid, and I'll call this grid client view, and here for the MySQL I will insert the following MySQL statement. So here I am selecting the properties table, so I'm selecting the relevant fields here, title, capacity, available, and again here below the locations there, the location name. Again, for the properties table, details, amount, and so forth, and then joining that with the rentals table, gathering the week number and the status, and then I'm performing a concat on the date range, so joining the date from and date to fields, and then here I have a till in between, and you can see here the left outer join applied. So for this I did use the MySQL builder here, the SQL builder within Scriptcase, and you can create the same values yourself for any other grid. And then I'm just going to create this, and now if I run this grid application, I now have the following view and the information I want to have displayed within this specific view. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go back to the grid. I'm going to come here to the fields and edit fields. Let's just get an overview here of what we have available, and then we can enable or disable the fields quite easily just by dragging and dropping them again like previously. So here I'm going to enable the property image and move the title to the top. We don't need the property ID, so I will remove that. The date range I do want in there also, and the properties amount, as well as probably the capacity and the rental status, and then I'm going to hide the rest of these fields for the time being at least. Okay, so rental status, we want that. Okay, so now if I go ahead and run the grid application, I now have these fields displayed. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is apply an on record here, so I change how some of this is displayed, adjust the title and the header and so forth, so that it all looks presentable at least. So let's go ahead and change the header first. Remove the date field. Here I will go ahead and apply my variable in here, which is then the var head, and I'll just replicate that there and change here property. Okay. So now then here on the events, I'll apply first of all an on header event, and here again I will use my custom snippet and apply the on header event. So here I'm again defining my var head and displaying a logo or an icon from Font Awesome, and applying Bootstrap into the grid application. And then on the on record event, here I will apply some changes to the fields. So here again in the code snippets, I have here the client view on record, and here I'm applying changes to the fields. So here I have rentals, and image reserved. So that is not there. Let's have a look at that. This should be, okay, we'll come back to that in a moment. So we want to add this field. So we want to add this image reserved field and the status field also, which we are indicating here. And then we are going to echo out these, or display these icons as well as an indicator within these fields. And here then we'll be applying a link to this status field that we are now going to create. So now if I run this now, this isn't going to do nothing because these fields do not yet exist. So I now need to create these two fields. So we're going to create the image reserved and status. So I'll create two new fields, image reserved and status, and then click create. Okay, now when I run this, I now have icons and a specific status displayed here. So if I come here to the on record, now we're saying if rental status equals reserved, then it will display X. And we actually want to change this to rented. Okay, so now if we run this correctly, these will now update accordingly. Okay, so now we have, when they are, if they are rented, it will display reserved, else it will display available. And that's what we're doing here. So if the rental status equals rented, then we are going to display this, else we are going to display this. Okay, so now that we've added these fields, the capacity, we could color this as well if we wanted to. For the time being, I'm going to go ahead and leave that. So now what I'm going to do is the image field. Let's adjust that so we are displaying the image, the image file name. Just apply the subfolder that we are using for the project. I'll untick the maintain aspect ratio and specify a height and my width, for which we want these images displayed. So now if I run this now, I will now have the image displayed. So we need to adjust here the subfolder possibly. And there we go. So now we have the images displayed here, and we still have here the details. So I want to go ahead and remove that. So I will come here to the grid modules, and I will remove the detail and save that. And I will remove search also. In fact, let's leave search because we may actually want that for the client view. And then we're going to change here the toolbar and adjust all of the buttons around as we had done previously. Okay. So I just select them and nudge them around. Now when I run, my grid application looks a bit nicer like so. Okay, so now we want to group these. So now if I close here the fields, let's close these, we don't need these at the moment. And if I come down here to the group by, I can create a static group by. So I'm going to create a new static group, and I'm going to create that on the property title. And I will then indicate the record count for the summary. And here, let's call it group title. And well, we can just call it property title, property, right? So let's call it property and property. Save. And now if I run this, I now have each property grouped by their title. So we now have the rentals of each location displayed and their status and their bookings here. Okay, so now we want to add some further information to this. Okay, so looking at the grid application now, being a client view, I actually want to remove some of these options here, such as the save, the exit. We still need to adjust the title here, or we can actually remove, we will change this entirely. So and we'll actually remove the images. There's really no need to have the image of the property duplicated all the time. So we want to remove the reserved over to the left here also. So let's do that quickly. Edit fields, drag the image reserved over here. So now that will be displayed here. And then the images into the fields not shown. And then while I run this now, we don't really need this. Let's run. And then when it's displayed, okay, so that's much better. Okay, so we actually want to display the image above the title here. And so we're going to do that, and we're going to hide these toolbar items that we don't really need here. So if I come back here to toolbar, I'm going to hide the summary grid. Let's leave the bar, and then here the print. I'm going to allow the export of PDFs. So move that. Well, okay, I just got rid of it. Group by, get rid of that. Sorting columns. Now I want to allow PDF export, so I'm going to place PDF back in here. If I run this, I can now export via PDF. And if I actually add PDF email in there also, save that. I will also have the option to send this via email once I complete the email sending on the application. So if I come here to export and then email, I can either use an API, so I can specify a custom API, and here I can set an email straight away. So I can define my SMTP server, my port, the username and password, the protocol to be used, the from and name. And then we also have some export options here, so we can add in some variables, or we can actually add our own values. And then when I run this, of course I need to fill in these fields. So let's try this. Okay. Okay, so I'm still missing one field, I guess. So I've got SSL 2. Okay, so now when I run and I have PDF, okay, so when I run and I have the PDF email here, it will actually send to the information that we've entered into this relevant form. Okay, so then Now from this application, a client could contact you, they can print their own PDF, well they can print the PDF to them, they can print the PDF and send it to themselves, or they can export the PDF. And now let's go ahead and make some further changes in here. And we want to, within the group by, and here we have events. So now we have an event available for this property title that we've created. Now here I have also prepared a code snippet. We have a code snippet here already. I'm just going to paste it in here. And now I just need to change these values. The group properties title should be correct. And what we're doing here is we are calling the image from this location, from this property. We have it here, the path, properties ID, the image, and then here the size details, location. We're displaying the location of properties details. And what we're going to do is we're going to combine all of this within a variable, CAD, and then now we're going to add that to the group by label. So now when I run this, it's going to place it into this group. And now what we have is the information that I'm actually calling here. So there we have the image, and here we have the code for the image. Remember, because we're combining, we're starting like so. There we have the image. Then we're displaying the property details, location name, the capacity. And here then also we are creating a button. And then we are displaying that we're in here within the label. So that's how we get that displayed. Okay, so we now have our client property view looking really nice. You can actually see the property list here and the reservations. And if I click on this, I can then also view the property. Now, I do have a slight problem here straight away. I don't have a back button here. So we need to adjust this view, add a back button, and hide the exit button from them, as well as the export and save options. So we may either just remove those or hide them, and then at least then the user can click a back button and come back to the grid, this client view where they left from. So let's come back into Scriptcase, and now in the home and the properties was here the properties view that we then are viewing. Okay, so we want to open this up, and then in here we can add a button, a new button, and we can select the type PHP, and I'm going to call it back_history. Click create, and in here I'm going to type history.back, and then I'm going to change the styling here of the button to maybe the Google Red, or I should prefer the PayPal actually, so let's go with the PayPal and say back. And then we can add a font awesome icon to this. And then I'll go left arrow. And now we have a back button. And if I click save, I can now adjust that in the toolbar. Let's move that over here. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to just remove these other options here so that I don't have to worry about hiding them. And I can add export options into other areas. Okay, so now we have a back button and an exit button. Of course, for admins, this is going to be no good. So we need to make some adjustments for this also. Okay, so then here within our client view, if we're viewing here the properties view, we want to then come here to the events, and in the on script init, we want to add an extra option here, which is then if our public equals 1, and we want to use this variable, and we're going to apply this then to the to another option here. In here, we'll just leave it as it is. So if this option is displayed, if var public is displayed, then we are going to display the button history. So let's call it back here, back history. Okay, so we're going to switch it on, or it's going to switch it off, or it's going to switch off the exit button, depending on who is viewing this. Okay, so now I click save and run. I'm asked now if I have a var public, and view the property, and now I have no exit button, but I do have a back button. Okay, so now if I come here to the grid client view, you'll see here in the button code that we are already defining the variable property ID. So when we requesting, so on the button itself, when we click the button, this is the path we are accessing. So at the index.php here within the grid properties view, which is the name of our application, grid properties view. And then we have here the var property ID, properties.id. And now we are also having here add and var public equals 1, which is already passing on the variable. So now if I click run on this, when I now click this property, I'm already passing on that variable here. Okay, so we have an error there, and the button also in this view isn't correct. So here we still have to add on header. We have here bootstrap, and here in the event on header we have it also. Okay, so we need to target that new button, so let's go ahead and do that also. Here within client view, I need to then check the var public. Now this back button, if I inspect, SC back history top. So now I can take this ID and then I'm going to attach it here also to my definitions. Now it's ID, so if I go ID, there's no class, SC button PayPal, so let's attach it to this one, SC button PayPal. And there is a class. Okay, and now if I run that also, now have our back button, but it is still okay. So you have to then use the other class. You have to use the ID here. Let's use that. And run. And now we should have the color of this button white also. There we go. Okay. So that's how we then change styles within Scriptcase. Anywhere that's needed, if we need to, we just inspect the element and we can change, we can adjust. Okay, so now we have our back button there and the client view is then ready. So now if I go ahead and we can add then our security to this. So I'm going to go back here to root and I'm going to come up here to modules security and create new, click next, group, so that we have group access. We have then admins and then basic users or whichever membership that we want to have, select the connection. I will then select to delete the tables if they exist already, protect the logged users, and I will just go next. Now Scriptcase has already created all the tables for me in my database, so I can close that. My fields are already selected, so I don't need to because Scriptcase has created these fields, so I can just go next. And now in the general, I can set here first of all the name of the application. So you can either leave app or sec or however you want to abbreviate these specific applications. When the session expires, I like to display a message and then redirect. So I'm going to do that. I will select an encryption of SHA-512 for the password. I will use captcha. If so, we can add that later with reCAPTCHA or so forth. There is no log, but we do need this now to create a menu for us, and we actually want to have a standard menu. Okay, so now I want to create the login. We have then maximum and minimum size. I'd like to have a minimum size for both my username and password. Ideally more than 4, but because of admin, we're kind of stuck with that. So I will just change it to 4. Retrieve password. Again here, whichever suits best for your platform. New users. So here I will select every user requires activation. So if they need to say yes, I am alive and I want to be notified. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to change the default group here and I'm going to call him admins. Okay, and I'm going to create email settings. I can add my email settings in here now. Logged users, I tend to like to reduce this and increase. So increase the minutes and reduce the retries. If you don't know your password, then you're going to get locked out. For the login template, we can use external libraries. Actually, for this project, we do have one, if you remember. So I will select use external libraries. And here, if I scroll down, I will find then somewhere here my property manage. So here I have that. So I will go ahead and use here the reload. Select yes, first of all. Select renode, and you will see here for the project, you have the property manage, login, so I can just select that, and I'm going to go next. Okay, so I'm going to leave the login, password, admin, leave all the details as they are. And see, I already have an administrator group there, so I should have maybe called it a member group, never mind. So we have 2 sets of admins maybe. So I'll generate the source code so everything is updated. Now, because I've just generated the security, everything will now have security enabled. So one important factor now would be to access, first of all here, the client view. We actually still need to create a form for this, also for them to book. So if I come here and I'm going to edit this, I'm going to access the security again, and I will uncheck that. Save. All right, so now I can run this still without having to have admin access, and here the view property will then of course also be a requirement once you enable certain rights, so you can actually allow within the security that they can view this page, edit this page, and so forth. So then we can enable further buttons, and you can then do as you wish as an admin within the application. So at the moment, of course, we will remove those icons from this. So, you know, we don't have the buttons here. We can just add them, and then with the group security, group access, which we have now added. So if I come here to security, now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move my login, and I'm going to place it in my root, just so, because I know where it is then. And the same goes to the menu. I'm going to place that in root. Because they're the most accessed applications, I'm going to place them here. And because now I can literally just, when I log in, I can just come here, click run, and my project is running. And now I can log in. So now I have my login page. I can just come here to log in, and I have now my security applications. So all of the portal applications so far have not been added. So let's go ahead and add these here first of all. So we have here the security, or using language variables, which are then also, if you remember, at the beginning of this, we had created the application languages, and in here we had started to create labels for our tables, so we could apply them again. And of course, these are then also managed in here. So here we could change the default messages, or we can also change or add our own custom languages to use throughout the portal. And then you can actually integrate things a little easier. So of course I'm multitasking. So now we want to integrate now the applications we have created. So now here we have the grid properties that we have. So we view the list. We want to view the bookings. So let's open the grid locations also. The grid properties view. In fact, this we don't need. The grid rentals. And we need the grid bookings. Now the grid client view, we don't really need this, but we're going to add it just so that we can see it. Okay. And the rest of these are already inside of the menu here, or the forms I linked with some of these grids, So we don't need those because they will be accessed throughout here. If not, then we need to add them. So now I will import those and I will nudge them straight away to the top. Okay, so you can see that down the bottom here, they've been moved to the left, and there we have our security. Okay, so I'm gonna remove all of those, select the lang exit, and I'm gonna nudge that out of the menu so that exit is then displayed here. Okay, so let's go ahead and change the titles for each of these. So here I'm going to change this to bookings, and then I'm going to display a font awesome icon for this. And I'm going to give it a house, and that's going to be displayed next to it. Same for the client view. Now remember, I could use the language keys again, and everything would then be identical throughout the platform, wherever you want to have them. So now if I add now users into this one, clients, so yeah, I'll give this a special one because it's client's view. So let's go with this one, and that we can actually move out of the way. And then we have our locations, which we can actually also adjust while we're at it. And then we want to change the title on this also, locations, display font, awesome icon, and let's give this one a globe. And for the grid rentals, let's change this one to a bed. Here we go. And then we have the, ouch, something just went haywire there. Bookings, locations, rentals, locations. So that just changed locations. Properties, this one should be. So that happens sometimes when I should be saving in between ideally, and I'm not. I'm being cheeky. I'm just running through. Okay, so properties. Now I save now, look. Okay. Okay, so I'm saved. So bookings, properties, lovely. Okay, so let's change this one then to the home. We had there first. Let's move that up, save that. Okay, so we now see that bookings here, we need to change this one here. Bookings, let's give that a pen. And yeah, let's just give that a pen. Okay, so grid locations here, that changed again. So let's change that, locations. And we want font awesome icon. And here we actually wanted the globe. Okay, so now save that, and we can now run. And we have unauthorized user because we have our security created. So now I'll uncheck this, use security, run, and I'll be able to run this, but now I won't be able to, well, I shouldn't be able to view any of these. I still have my ID saved in the background. I didn't log out, so they're still stored within the browser, so I can still view these. Okay, so we can see I can style the menu. So let's go ahead and do that. Here within the layout, we have the menu structure. So I'm going to drag a layer in here, drag it over the other side here, and then I'm going to place an image in here. And for that, I'd already uploaded an image. So here within the project, general images, they have a nice little icon or logo to be used for the project. I'll place that in there. I'm going to nudge it over a little bit as well. And then I'm going to run. Okay, so now I have a nice logo there. I have my properties, my bookings, my rentals, my locations, which I can then all manage. And for the clients, which I can then just view in here, I have them available here also. I have my security enabled here also, which of course now, because I'm not logged in, I don't have a username, is only displaying the change password and the log off. Okay, so I'm not logged in as admin, I'm logged in as a user basically. And now we can just change the menu here, the theme. So come here to visual settings. We could change here the header template and apply our own template, or actually use a different theme if we wanted to. So let's not do that. Let's just apply a basic one here within the Scriptcase menu options. I just have so many here. So Let's check out one of these down here. Lock. There we go. That looks nice enough. Let's run that. Okay, let's see if we have a black one. Black, all the way black. No. There we go. That would do. Okay, so now we have our logo displayed and we have our properties. Of course, we can apply any template to this and customize the theme further and add further options. So now, if I then start here from the beginning of this application, I run the login. I can now log in as admin. I want to apply a background image here, so let's go ahead and do that quickly. Just come here, new application, and they will create a blank, and I'll call this blank underscore BG. You see I use it a lot. Create, and in the on execute here, I have a snippet here already prepared, and here I'm going to apply a background from the project, and here I'm using an image which is stored within the one of the library for the project. The image, the project is called Project Manage, if I remember correctly. So we can just go ahead and check that quickly. So here in Tools, I have external libraries. I will scroll down here. Now I should keep this within the project, but I've actually put it as a public. If I come here to edit, I can see then here the images folder. There I don't have the image displayed, I have it in the root folder, so I need to change the path. So it's good that we're checking. So we have here first of all the name. I want to apply, so that's the name, and then here the location is actually directly in root. So let's run that. Okay, and now I have the background for my blank application. So now I'm going to come home, open my menu, and I'm going to now set in the settings. In the bottom here, I have default application, and I'm going to select one application, and then here I can select the blank BG, import, run that, and now my menu will have a background. Okay, so now the background here is the same also that we are using on the login, of course. And now when I come to run again, log in, submit, I have now my properties, and we're all nicely organized here. So now if I come here to bookings, I can manage my booking. If I come here to rentals, I can add new rentals, and then for the clients, now here we actually still want to add the option to reserve. Okay, so I'm going to come back here in my client view. I'm going to create a new application here and call it form, and I'm going to select the table here, bookings. And I'm going to change the name of this to form client booking, and then click create. Okay, so now if I run this, I have a basic form. Let's go ahead and make some really quick changes to this. So the layout, I'm going to remove the header footer. For the toolbar, I'm just going to adjust these options over here to the right. In fact, I may remove the delete later. It's okay for the time being. And in fact, let's just get rid of it now. So let's come back here, and the quick search and dynamic search is not needed. Okay, I'm going to change the settings. So the form here is a little not so wide. In fact, we're going to change this to 100%, and what we'll do is we'll open this in a modal window. So if I select 100%, 98 is better. And then let's go and adjust the fields, because we don't need all of these, we just need the, well, we can display the ID. I guess the ID is good. We can get rid of here the confirmed, the paid, and we can get rid of the rental ID also. Okay, so now if I run, I now have the following fields displayed. So I don't think we actually need the date booked. We can actually hide that. So let's hide that as well. Booking date. We'll be needing that. And again here we're going to add some events. So here on the onload event, so when the form loads, I'm going to add here a code snippet that I've prepared. Here I have the client view. And rentals on record. Here we have, there we go, form reserve on load. So now here we used this previously. It's very similar to the other MySQL statement we used. And now here I'm going to echo the values that we have in here. So let me just double check the fields. So amount is amount. The rental ID is the ID. No, it's actually correct, the rental ID. Amount is on, so let's now go ahead and run that. And that is now going to display some extra information. And let's kick this out. So now we need to disable the security that we're not using. Okay, so my session expired. Yes, because I forced to log in, I'm protecting users. Okay, so back to root, let's log in. Now if I log in, and now I can run this form. I can change the settings in the security, but right now, and it's kicked me out again, okay. So I should have really created this form previous to this. So let's create the linking, and then we can actually add it to the security, and then you'll also see how you add that into security within Scriptcase. But before we do that, let's add first of all here a capture in here, because this is going to be a user request. And so I'm going to come here to security. I'm going to select user capture. I leave it as 4, just leave the default settings for now. I would normally adjust them. I'll just run the form so it's generated. And okay, so now let's come back into Scriptcase, and here we have the client view, and open the client grid view that we had created, the client list. So now here we have the field, status, and image reserved, and in events on record we have here the URLs that we're targeting. We now need to update here the SC link that we have here. So here we're creating the button to actually generate the form. So let's open now the form client booking and just correct the name here. Form client booking. Here we're passing the rental ID and here the properties ID. Okay. Okay, so what I'm also going to do now while I'm in this grid is I'm going to change one of these fields. So I'm going to apply here a switch on here the properties title, and so if the property is available, that then the color changes. So I'm going to apply that there. If I just leave that for the time being, and now we can't run this now because we're locked out because of the security, or we can. Okay. So now if I come here to reserved, now we have booking here, and there we can click see, and now we're able to access the reservation form. So now let me change here the image reserved. We have here the application link. Now we're actually creating here the link. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is adjust here the variable. So I'm using here, of course, the sc_link option. And now if I come here to the end, we have here self. And now if we come here to Scriptcase macros help, we can see here the sc link. And if I change the self to modal, and then I can also apply a width and height behind that. So I'm going to copy that here. And then I'm going to come back in here and I'm just going to replace here the self with modal and define the height and the width. Now let's see if that works beautifully. So we run fun with our properties here and this now opens beautifully in a modal window. Okay, so I need to here remove the menu items here and also adjust the elements here. So let's go ahead and do that really quickly here within the client form booking while it's open. Toolbar, remove all the options here and leave it like so. These other buttons will be removed from within the security. Okay, so now our applications are ready. Won't bother running them yet. I'm going to generate the entire source. All of my outdated applications. Okay, now I'll close. And now if I come back here to root and I log in, run the login, and I log in with admin, I now have the client view here. I can view here then also the reservations or create reservations. And we then also have the bookings. Now there are for sure some features and variations that you would want to add to this, change on this, or however. The only addition that is needed here within the backend is actually the addition of the new application which we just added. So here I come to security, sync apps. I'll then synchronize the applications and you'll see it found the blank background and the form client booking which we created after the creation of the security. So I OK that, and then here within the group's applications, come to administrator, those new applications will be displayed in here. Now personally I like to customize the view of this much further and add some extra features into here because the layout is horrendous and it needs to, to make it a little easier to use. I'll make quite a few changes in here, but we don't have time for that today, I'm afraid. So here we find here the blank BG and form client booking. I select those, and of course I want to enable all options for admin. So I'm going to select that and then save those settings. That will then also be added to the security. Now blank didn't have those options because it's just a blank app. It doesn't do nothing else unless you make it do so. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching this video with Scriptcase and myself, Jamie Oates, and I hope you've enjoyed it and learned how you can create an easy platform within Scriptcase within a short amount of time. Thank you again.